Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you enjoyed my last video, which was part 3 of our 5-part series, as well as part 1 of the admin video. And I'm going to kick things off right away by jumping straight back in where we left off. I'm going to quickly blend in the topics that I'm talking about again on the screen here. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. And I hope you enjoy the video. Let's get right to it. Moving on to my next topic, health insurance. Now, health insurance in Germany is also very, very, very important. It is actually legally for all residents, including exchange students and foreigners. And without proof of coverage, you will not be able to enroll at a university or obtain a visa and or residence permit. Now, there's 2 types of insurance in Germany, one of them being private and the other being public. Approximately 90% of people are under public insurance, me included. However, being privately insured actually does have certain benefits, as of course, you pay the big bucks to get that special treatment. For example, there's certain doctors and certain types of procedures that you either have to pay for by yourself or that will only be covered through private insurance. And it is also way easier to find an appointment with private insurance. And yeah, I mean, if you have the means, I do suggest going private. However, don't fuss, as the public insurance is also very, very good and covers many, many things. The main public insurances are TK or Techniker Krankenkasse, BAMA, and I guess AOK probably. So yeah, I would look into signing up for one of those if you don't want to go the private route. There can be some confusion around health insurance in Germany. However, I would personally say that this confusion is only because there's perhaps bad information available online, not necessarily because of the insurance or the processes that they have themselves, as these are usually quite simple and flushed out, to be honest. Yeah. Now, guys, one common misconception is that healthcare in Germany is free, which in a way is true. However, it is actually not. And you will actually have to pay for, obviously you pay way less than if you're, for example, in the US, but you will have to pay for many medications. Although the insurance covers part of it, you will have to pay for certain treatments that are not necessarily covered, a lot of dentist treatments. And if the work is more cosmetic as opposed to medically necessary, you will have to pay for it yourself also. So keep that in mind. Now, also make sure that you don't confuse a travel or more short-term based insurance with the actual long-term insurance that you will need to get enrolled, as these other insurances will not permit you to get enrolled. So make sure you get the right type of insurance and don't mess up here, as it can really throw you off course. Now, the cost that you will have to bear for insurance varies based on several different factors. So honestly, I suggest, if you want an exact amount, to go online and find out yourself. But I believe that the student rate is about 100, 50. It's about 150 maybe per month. So not too bad. And on my pain meter scale, I rate health insurance as a 3 out of 5. So definitely not an easy process, but there's worse. Moving on to one of the most important sections of this video, which would be visa and residence permits. Now, guys, it is very important that you realize that this is a 2-stage process, and to not confuse the 2 stages, as getting your entry visa or student visa is the first step before you then attain your residence permit, which is a more long-term. I believe student visas are usually 6 months to maybe up to a year, although I'm not too sure on that. I'll fact check and put it somewhere on the screen. And then your residence permit, which is, more long-term, and I think it can even last up to several years. Now, there's obviously some nations where you will not need a student visa, as you can just enter the country without obtaining one first. And these are many of the EU countries, or, the UK also, I believe you can go for 6 months without having a student visa. So in these cases, getting a residence permit is more. If you're an EU or European Economic Area citizen, then this section is actually not for you, as you don't need a residence permit or a student visa. However, if you are not from one of these places, then this is the section that you need to pay the most attention to. Quick note, citizens from certain countries such as Japan, the UK, South Korea. Now, quick note, citizens from countries such as the UK, Canada, the US, South Korea, and a couple others don't actually need a student visa to enter the country. So for you can just skip to the residence permit section. Now, if you're from neither of these 2 categories of people, then you will need to obtain a student visa on arrival. And for this, you will need a Type D visa, which is for stays over 90 days. One thing to note is that I am a German citizen, so I personally didn't have to go through any of this either. However, I'm here to guide you through it nonetheless. So basically, you have to complete the application via the Consular Services Portal, or VDEX, after which you will have to book an embassy or consulate appointment, submit documents and biometrics. Then you pay the fee, which is, I believe, 75 euros, and half of that, so 37.50 for people under 18. You will have to attend a short interview, and the embassy will then forward the files to the immigration authority of your intended university town for approval before issuing the visa. Now, the Federal Foreign Office, which you can find at germany.info, states verbatim that student visa applications take about 25 days to be processed. For all other applications, processing may take about 1 to 3 months. So that means, once again, you have to make sure you do this on time and well in advance so that you're actually able to enter the country by the time your studies begin. But anyways, let's move on to stage 2 of the process, which would be getting your residence permit and would apply to more of you, as I discussed at the beginning of this section. Now, once again, for this, you must have a registered address in Berlin in order to be able to access the services of the LEA, or to access the services of the LEA, which is the governing body responsible for, residence permits and all things surrounding that. Now, guys, the LEA has actually recently changed the system of how you can get appointments, because there was some scamming happening and a lot of appointments were getting stolen and resold at, exorbitant prices. So now it is sadly very, very annoying and difficult to contact them directly. Actually, it's impossible to directly contact them. What you have to do is go on the website, which I'll blend in here, and you can also find the link in the description. And on this website, you will find a contact form, which you have to fill out, and then hopefully they get back to you as soon as possible. Now, you might have to wait quite a while for them to get back to you. However, if there's an urgent situation, then you can also request for an emergency meeting or an emergency appointment, which will also take, at least maybe a week or so. But it's definitely significantly faster than going through the traditional channel of just completing the, non-emergency contact form and having to wait perhaps 6 to 8 weeks until they get back to you and you actually get your appointment. Now, getting your residence permit also comes with a fee of 100 euros. So keep that in mind. And the residence permit is usually valid actually for up to 2 years. So after 2 years, you will have to, renew your residence permit, which also comes with a fee. However, this fee is not 100 euros. I believe it's 50 to 60, perhaps. I'll blend the exact number on the screen once again. And yeah, if you want to start working, you will also need a residence permit, as I believe if you only have a visa, it is not enough. However, the regulation for working with a residence permit has actually recently changed, as students are now able to work 140 full days or 280 half days in the year, raised from 120 full days and 240 half days previously. Now, specifically, if you're renewing your permit, there is a chance that your permit will expire before you get an appointment and get a new one. And in this case, there is something called a Fiktionsbescheinigung that you can ask for, and this will serve as like a temporary residence permit, kind of, during this time where you don't have the actual physical residence permit. Now, for this, you have to absolutely make sure that you apply on time, which is up to the last day of your last residence permit still being active. And if you miss this deadline, then the Fiktionsbescheinigung will probably not be granted for you. So once again, make sure you're on time with this specific appointment. Now, some common pitfalls in this area that people make or have is that you shouldn't confuse the LEA, or Landesamt für Einwanderung. You shouldn't confuse the LEA with the embassy and stuff, as the LEA is the only place where you'll be able to get residence permit. It's not possible to get this outside of Germany, or again, without an with a registered address. And yeah, I suggest that. And yeah, pretty much you should make sure to talk to your university's international office, or I guess, foreign office. So yeah, I would suggest that you reach out to your international office at the university, because they will be able to help you and give you, actual advice tailored to your specific case. And don't trust all the information you find online, because it is a very meticulous and rigid process. So you need to make sure that you complete everything properly and on time, once again. So reach out to your office, and I'm sure they'll help you out, and will make this very, very painful experience a bit more seamless, at least. And yeah, I kind of just gave it away, but on the pain scale rating, this would be a 5 out of 5. It is 100% the most painful. It is 100% the most painful experience in terms of, any of admin stuff that you would experience here in Germany. And these waiting times can just make it so much more annoying, honestly. Yeah, the biggest pains of them all. So guys, that is pretty much all the admin stuff covered, and I will be once again leaving links in the description. So yeah, do check those out if you want to find the direct links to each of the talking points and direct links that I mentioned earlier in the video. Do leave in the comments down below what your biggest pain point has been if you're already here, or perhaps what you're most scared of if you're just arriving now. And yeah, that's going to be it for me for today. And thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.